Trying to order lunch for brunch and getting lost in the extra sauce? Keep your server sane by following these simple restaurant rules. Every single seat in the restaurant is an opportunity for the restaurant and your server to make money. Allowing a party of 2 to sit at a table with 4 spaces is wasting precious real estate. It doesn't make financial sense. Servers often get this question when the restaurant is slow, but what people don't realize is that the restaurant can fill up at any moment. Not being able to accommodate a 4-top because every table is filled with parties that could easily have been seated elsewhere is frustrating. The appeal of being able to sprawl out at a spacious table is understandable, but we promise you and your guest will still enjoy your meal at a table that's meant for 2. Equally annoying is when guests think that they know more about the restaurant's operations than they do. If you see an empty table of any size, please don't assume that you can sit there. Most restaurants have a host hired for the sole purpose of allocating tables to guests. They aren't just seating people at random. Seating is determined based on more factors than most guests realize. Not only do restaurants need to save tables for reservations, but they also need to seat guests in a rotation that makes sense for the servers. If the host puts multiple new tables in one server's section back to back, then that server won't be able to take care of everyone in a timely fashion. That means upset customers, lower tips, and generally a terrible experience for everyone. All of this is to say that servers rely on the host to handle the seating correctly. They have very little say over who sits where, and if they move one of their tables, it could interfere with the host and their fellow servers being able to perform their jobs properly. Unless you're eating at a fancy restaurant, menus usually include prices. So asking, what's the cheapest thing on the menu, is usually a question you can figure out for yourself. Not bothering to figure out the simple menu in your hands is a pretty good indicator that you're probably both cheap and a little bit lazy. Be confident, you can read a menu without your server holding your hand. When you're looking for the cheapest thing on the menu, you make your server acutely aware of the fact that you don't want to spend money. If you aren't willing to shell out a few extra dollars to order an entree you actually want instead of what happens to be the cheapest, chances are you aren't going to tip very well either. Of course, servers don't expect every table to go all out and order the highest ticket items on the menu. However, if you're on a tighter budget, just keep it to yourself. If you order within your means, account for taxes and tip as you plan, and are nice to your server, everything will be just fine.
Is there anything that you'd recommend?
The cedar plank salmon is our specialty.
Okay. I'm more into pasta.
There's a right way and a wrong way to ask your server for recommendations. The extremely vague, blanket inquiry of what's good on the menu is the wrong way. What's considered good can depend on a wide range of factors. If you're a vegetarian, then the steak isn't going to sound very appealing to you, even if it's the most delicious thing the restaurant serves. If you're looking for a few light bites and a server recommends the heaviest pasta entree, you're not going to find their advice very useful. Good is subjective. A better way to approach asking your server for recommendations is to provide them with specific parameters. Asking about their favorite appetizer or their most popular sandwich will get you a lot further than expecting them to read your mind, your appetite, your dietary restrictions, and condense the entirety of human experience of eating into one perfect item. Unless there's a no substitutions policy, most kitchens don't mind making reasonable modifications. But there is a menu for a reason. Restaurants don't have access to unlimited ingredients. They buy specific items based on what they've decided to serve. If you don't see pasta on the menu, it's not because the restaurant is hiding it from you. It's because they just don't have it. Access to ingredients aside, restaurant kitchens are designed to run like well-oiled machines. Everything is done according to a specific method, and asking for something off menu can completely throw off the kitchen crew's workflow. Servers strive to provide the best possible dining experience and to make sure you leave full and happy. However, if you request something that just isn't possible, they won't have a choice but to disappoint. Think of it this way: if your boss asked you to do something that was totally beyond your scope and abilities, you wouldn't appreciate it either. Please don't put your server in that position.
Did that waitress listen to a word I said? This steak is medium rare. I asked for it medium, and I wanted extra gravy on my mashed potatoes.
Your server couldn't care less how you want your meat cooked. They'll even politely laugh at your bad jokes about how you want it cooked on the grill or still mooing. Just don't ask for your burger to be cooked between medium and medium well. Medium well is already an in-between temperature. It's between medium and well done. Chefs can only categorize meat temperatures in so many ways, so asking for this really seems like you're splitting hairs. Asking this question is essentially akin to telling your server that you're extremely picky and you're going to send your burger back no matter what. Just pick medium or medium well, please. Otherwise, you'll be better off making your own burger at home. If you happen to change your mind about what you'd like while your server is still at the table, then no harm, no foul. If your server has already walked away from the table and you catch them before they go to the computer and send your order to the kitchen, also no problem. If you're extraordinarily nice and apologetic and you request to change your order right after they've sent it in, they'll probably try their best to convince the kitchen to accommodate you. However, if you ask to change your order once it's already well underway, you're putting them in a tricky position. On the one hand, they want you to be happy with your meal. On the other, having to explain to their manager why an entire entree went to waste isn't a good look for them. Plus, their goal is to always have the entire table's food arrive at the same time. So, if you decide you want something else at the last minute, it's going to disrupt the flow of just about everything. Sometimes you just need to suck it up. You're hungry, your blood sugar is low, you've devoured every last crumb from the breadbasket. You want your food, and you want it now. Servers feel your pain, but if you ask them if the reason you're still waiting is because they forgot to put your order in, they're going to be insulted. Every server has forgotten to ring in an order at one point or another, and most can tell you a horror story or two about a time when they completely messed up. However, these stories stick out to them so vividly for a reason. They don't happen all that often. They put in countless orders a shift with zero mistakes or issues, so the odds that your order is going to make it to their list of most embarrassing mistakes is incredibly low. Chances are they put your order in right after they took it. The kitchen is just busy, or you ordered your steak extra well done, or it's only been 5 minutes. Your food is coming, just be patient and don't be a jerk.
What can I do to make your lunch more pleasant?
I found this in my soup, and I'm very upset.
If you think it's ridiculous that some guests assume they can get more alcohol for the same amount of money, then congratulations, you have common sense. If you think that extra alcohol is a perfectly reasonable thing to ask for free, please reevaluate your expectations about going out to eat. Don't just ask, "Can you make my drink extra strong?" Servers have nothing against you wanting a strong drink. After their shift of dealing with picky eaters and ridiculous expectations, they'll probably be looking for the same. But keep in mind that extra liquor costs extra money. Approach requesting that additional shot accordingly. If you want a high-octane beverage, all you have to do is order a double. If you're ordering a drink like a rum and coke, adding another shot will in fact cost you double, since all you're paying for is the liquor. If you're ordering a cocktail, your server will likely just charge you for the cocktail, plus an extra shot of whatever liquor it contains. Servers aren't mind-reading math wizards able to calculate exactly what you owe by tracking each individual mozzarella stick you consumed off of the communal appetizer platter. It's already hard enough when a table asks to split the bill in a complex way. If you order an appetizer to share, then it's your responsibility as guests to decide who's going to pay for it. If you're splitting the bill down the middle, then each person is responsible for paying for half of the appetizer, even if one person went to town on the truffle fries and the other just had a few bites. If you're splitting the bill by item, which many restaurants won't even allow you to do, then someone needs to bite the bullet and put the entire spinach and artichoke dip on their tab. In theory, servers like when guests know exactly how much their meal is going to cost before they get the check. But in practice, asking servers how much an extra side of sauce costs may make them want to visit the walk-in freezer and scream. A side of sauce is never going to cost that much, and if you're that worried about an extra $1 or $2, servers see it as a red flag. Ultimately, they're just looking out for themselves, since their livelihoods depend on guests spending money. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being frugal, but it's better not to let your server know you're pinching pennies. At the end of the day, when it comes to the tip, they're just as concerned about a few extra dollars as you are. However, they keep it to themselves, and you should do the same. If you really want to frustrate your server, try asking them why they charged you for an extra side of sauce in the first place. Newsflash, you have to pay for it because the restaurant has to pay for it. You'd never walk into a grocery store and wonder why the cashier charged you more for the organic apples. You'd never ask a hairdresser why they charged for the deep conditioning treatment you requested. You'd never ask an airline why they charge more for first class. Add-ons aren't free. Guests tend to assume that just because the restaurant can make Eggs Benedict on Saturday morning, they can do the same thing on Saturday night, too. Restaurants just don't work that way. Do chefs have the ingredients, knowledge, and skills to make Eggs Benedict on Saturday night? Yes. Are they going to make you Eggs Benedict on a Saturday night? Absolutely not. By the time the brunch crowd has come and gone, the kitchen has gone through a total transformation to get ready for dinner. Ingredients are put away, sauces stopped being batched, and equipment switched out. A chef just can't reset their station to make you a plate of eggs just because you feel like eating breakfast for dinner.